So in today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to build this cape with side buttons. So to build this cape, you need to create your asymmetric neckline. So I've already drafted my shoulder, my basic bodice line. So what you need for this dress is your shoulder line, the chest line, the waistline, and your hip line, or the length of the dress. Okay, but for this tutorial we are concentrating on the cape, so I'm not I don't care about what happens this way. So if you are making it a full dress, just you know how to do it. So now the first thing we want to do to achieve this cape is from this neckline, I'm going to connect my asymmetric to where the cape is going to fall. So coming over to the shoulder tip, I'm going to make a measurement of 2.5. okay, so from that 2.5, I'll just freehand because my ruler will not be able to give me exactly what I want at that point. So I'm just gently freehanding this neckline into the natural neckline. So you can see what I did from here to here. I have to put it up to that way. So I want you to note that what we have here is the center front line. So from this center front line, I'm going to measure my bust span right on this to create the side buttons. So my bust span is 3.5. This is my 3.5. okay, my bust span from center front. But then from this bust span, I'll come in by 1 inch because my center the button loop is not up to the bust span. So I'll just measure from here. I have 2.5. I'm going to transfer the 2.5 here to this, and that forms my button, side button for me. So this is my side button to the end of the dress. So we are going to have the buttons on this line. I believe you understand what I'm trying to explain. So we'll be splitting this pattern into 2, so you keep making your button. So the main purpose of this tutorial is to cape the cape. I'll be showing you how to create this cape. So for this particular cape, as you can see right there on the thumbnail, I'm going to make a little more extension of the shoulder line. So I'll have that cape fall on the dress. So I can just go by 1 inch. Then from the mid armhole, I'll just step down by 1.5. And from that point, I'll step in by 2 inches and make a mark. I believe you understand. From here 1.5, from here 2 inches, and I'm going to connect what I have from here to the 2 inches line, and then I'll come in with my pattern ruler and create this. Okay, I just want it to form the shape of that cape. So this is where the cape is falling. You can still make the cape fall at the neckline directly. It all depends on how you want the cape to fall for you. So there's another cape inside this cape, which is the second cape. So from this line, I'll come in by 2 inches or 1.5. Okay, let me do 2 inches. I don't want it too close. I'll just measure 2 inches because it still have the same shape of this cape. Then from here I can do 1.5. So from this I will do 1.5 and I'll connect it back to this, and then I'll flip my ruler like this to meet this. Okay, just to have the same shape of the first cape. So here we have cape 1 and we have cape 2. I believe this is understandable. So now we are done with this the cape we have right there on this part. Next is to build the cape we have on this part. So for the cape we have on this part, from the chest line, I'll come down by 1/2 inch. So this 1/2 inch, I'm going to draw a straight line from that 1/2 inch, as you can see. So the next the cape from the armhole, I'm going to take the measurement of what I have from my arm. Okay, from the arm of that part, you can see right here. So I'll just take the measurement of what I have here. So there I have 5 inches. Of course it will still be the same to the back. So I don't have much paper here, so I'll pretend this is my measurement right now. So this measurement here, I'll just draw a straight line to it, and then I'll also extend this to that line as well, and then make a straight line. Okay, so that becomes my cape 2. And then the distance I gave from here to here was, before I created this cape, was 1.5. I'll still step up by 1.5 on this other cape, trying to build the second cape with a plain fabric. So this is the second cape. I'll build it up to that point. So I call this cape 3 and I call the inner one cape 4. So all of these we are going to trace them out. So right now this dress is dartless, it has no dart. So the next thing we want to do now is to cut this pattern. So I'm cutting this pattern having my cape in mind. So to cut this pattern, I'm not actually going to cut everything I have. All I need here is my neckline. The reason I'm cutting my neckline is because we are going to use this neckline to cut the back. Okay, so we'll still go ahead and trace our capes. Our capes are intact, we'll still create them. So I bring the back. So this is the back and this is how it is. So if you are making asymmetric, you can see what I have here. This is this part and this is this part. I'll simply pick up my paper and turn it this way. Okay, if I turn it this way, I'll match up my what I have on my shoulder or chest line, as you can see. So I'll just try and match up the lines. These lines are same. These lines, I'm trying to match them up, so I'll be able to get the shape of this dress. So of course I have the shape I need now, so I'll just go ahead and do what, from that point I'm going to trace it out. I'll trace it up to this measurement, okay, this 5 inches. So if need be, you can also continue the tracing. You can see the tracing here, you can see the point here. So this is the point and it continues to the center back. So I will just go ahead and make a straight line of continuation of the cape on the sleeve part. So now we have the back and the cape, we have a zipper at the center. Okay, so at this zipper line, you decide how you want your cape to be. Trace it now. I'll still keep my ruler straight to the zipper line. So this is where we have our zipper line. And for this part, note that this part, okay, by that time we also flip this to this part. Note that you can still go ahead and trace. What I mean by tracing is by the time you match this line, just like we matched on that, you can see it. So if you have a tracing wheel, this is the time to use your tracing wheel. So I'll just come in with my tracing wheel right away, and making sure I've placed this appropriately. Making sure I've placed it appropriately. Everything is matching on the same line. You can see me trying to make sure it matches on the same line. Then I'll go ahead and do what? Trace this part. I'm tracing this part. Can you see? Okay, so I will trace it to the center. I'll take it now to the center front, center back. So this is what I did. The extension I made for the front, because it has to continue, I'm going to make it match with this. So this is how the back of this cape is going to look like. So this cape, I've gotten cape 4. I'll call this cape 5. I'll call this cape 6. So the whole of this cape right now, I'm going to trace them out according to their numbers. And before this, remember there's an inner cape. What I mean by inner cape is this. So you still need to trace again. Okay, there are whole lots of tracings here. So I'm going to also mark it up to that point. So once I've marked it, you can see the second cape starts from here. So I'll just go ahead and trace it that way. So I've traced that way, and I'll take the second cape. Can you see? I'll take it to meet up with the first one. Okay, so the first one we had on this, okay, is at this point. So let me sit it back. So before you take away your pattern, ensure you've gotten all your tracings. So this is where we have the second cape. Okay, so the second cape, I'm going to trace it this way to the center back, and that is where this other one is going to stop. So I'll just go ahead. This is where I have the second cape. That is the second plain cape. The other one is Ankara. This one is plain. So I'll just connect this my trace line to this line. Okay, so we have one Ankara, we have one plain, the one on top and the one below as it is. So now if this is C5C6, okay, let me do C5C6 on the same pattern, then C7 C8. So now I'm going to start off the main business of this tutorial, which is the tracing of all my capes. So since I'm at the back, first I will do is to cut this cape neckline. So I'm cutting this cape neckline because it's asymmetric, so I just cut off only the neckline. So I'll start tracing my cape. So first I'm going to trace, I'm supposed to trace this together, okay, but remember there's going to be a zipper, so I can trace it together, C5 and C5 and C7, okay. It should be running this way. Okay, sorry, there's no zip. I'm sorry. Okay, there's no zip on this dress, please. I'm sorry. We have a button at the front, so we are correct to name this C5 and this C6, and that makes our work a whole lot easy for us. So I'm going to trace C6 right now. So to do that, I'll just place my pattern. So I think I will show you how to trace the first one, then the rest I will trace it off camera. So this is C1. You can see C6. Okay, so this is C6. This is it. I'll bring it to this point. I'll take it to this point, and then I'm going to do what? As I'm seeing it, I'll connect it. This is C6. This is the shoulder, and this is the sleeve. That is the part that connects to the sleeve. That will be inside the sleeve. So I've gotten that part. I will shift my pattern again. Later I'm going to cut them. So next is to trace out I'm tracing out C5 for the back. So for the C5 for the back, I'm trying to see the lines. So this is the line here. So I'll go ahead with the line this way as I'm seeing it. Alright, so I'll just take it to the neckline. So please be careful. I'll take it to that point, and then I'm going to connect it. So this is C5, and this is the shoulder, and this is the sleeve part. So that is how you trace that. So we are done with the front. Next I'll bring with the back. Next I'll bring the front. So front, I'll be tracing out I'm tracing out the space I have here. Can do my C2. So all you need to do is just name them and cut them out. Later they will be used to cut your fabric accordingly. So I'll still place this way, the way I placed it before. Okay, so here I'll take the this one to this. I'll follow the neckline accordingly to the point of C, the C2. So I call this C2. Then I'll now come over. If I have any space that I'll be able to enter, I'll keep tracing. So I believe you understand what I'm doing here. So for this, I'll get here, and then I will go this way, go that way to that same point, and then I'm sorry about the shift, so please don't allow it shift, that this might alter your pattern. So I'll just go ahead and come back. Okay, I call this C1. So I'm done with that. Next, I'll now come over to C3 and C4. So for C3 and C4, it's quite very easy. So I'm going to trace C3 first. So this is my C3. I'll take it to the sleeve extension. I'll go ahead, and then remember this one went straight, covering the sleeve and everything. I call it C4. Sorry, C3. Then I'll place for my C4. Can you see? So this is my C4. I'll go ahead this way. My C4. I'll take the bigger one that way. Then I'm going to mark out the sleeve extension, and I call this C4. So please, this is the sleeve, okay? This is the button. I'll use this button, this as button, and this as sleeve, okay? Then this is up, and this is up. So you will see why we have all of this notification. So I'm done right now. It's time for me to start cutting out my sleeve accordingly. My cape accordingly. So I just cut all the capes accordingly. So for this, also note the part that is up, and the part, this one I will use shoulder, okay, and side, okay, side and shoulder. So that will help me to note these patterns accordingly. So this is my neckline. So by the time I start to place my cape now, you are going to see. So I'm going to cut them individually. So let me quickly do that, and I'll show you everything.